Welcome back, guys. Today's video was meant to be me cleaning up the interior of the car. Last video I stripped down the interior, so if you missed it, make sure to check it out. But a part that was supposed to be on back order till the 4th actually came in already, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it installed. And as you could tell by the title of the video, it's gonna be a new intake manifold. Which intake it is, you'll find out in a little bit. Now this intake is a Gen 3 truck intake. It works great. I don't think the other intake is going to give me any more power, but I always wanted that other intake. I love the looks of it, and I really just hate how dirty this intake always looks. So I'm going to start taking off the intake, and then I'll show you guys the new intake. All right, that took a solid 5 minutes. When I installed the intake the last time, I reused the intake gaskets. I used RTV just to make sure they sealed. I see why people say not to use RTV. It broke the gasket. Luckily, the new intake won't be needing this gasket, so I won't have to buy another one because these are pretty expensive. I'll clean all this grime up before I install the new intake, but before that, I'm gonna go ahead and take off the fuel rails. The new intake does come with new fuel rails. But I do need to take off my 80-pounder injectors and transfer them over to the new intake, and also have to take out these sensors to install on the new throttle body. But now it's time to show you guys the new intake. And here it is, my direct port carbureted intake by Holley. Will also be running nitrous.
What is going on here?
And I'm just kidding. Alright guys, so obviously this is a higher M intake. Most of you guys probably knew this is what it was. For the most part, on a 5.3, they're not gonna aid in horsepower. They're actually gonna take away a little bit of torque from what I've heard. But I love how they look on 3rd gens, so I really wanted one, and I finally bought one. I only put it together like this to show you guys in the videos, but as you can see, it's not really bolted up. So I'm gonna take it outside and put it all together before I put it in the car. Alright guys, so I was beginning to put on the injectors on the new intake, but I don't want to do things twice. The seals are only a few months old and I'm going to reuse it, but I don't have any oil, so I will put some oil on them. I was putting them in dry, but I don't want them to leak. And the injectors themselves, the car did sit with E85, and some of them are good, but some you can't really see in there because it's too dark out. Let me see if I can get it. Or actually, this one right here has a bigger one. No, I already cleaned it out, but they were a little gelled up, so I'm gonna spray them with some brake cleaners. Hopefully it'll clean them out. So I'm gonna go to my auto parts store real quick and I'll be right back. All right, I have acquired the items that I needed. Let's get to cleaning up the injectors. All right, just finished up cleaning the injectors. As far as my sensors, the idle air control valve, I'm not sure if it's functioning right. All right, press this, it stays down. I don't know if it's supposed to be springy. The car was running fine before, so I'll look into it, but for now, I'll install this one. If it's supposed to spring back, then I'll just replace it. They're not too expensive. And then the throttle precision sensor was also working well. When I took it out of the other throttle body, it had oil in it. Not sure how oil got in there, but it was working fine, so I'm gonna install it and I'll check it with HP tuner, see if it's reading correctly, but I'm pretty sure it was. I'll go ahead and start putting the intake manifold together. First thing I'm going to do is put the injectors on, then everything else. Alright guys, intake's all together for the most part. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this up before I go ahead and install it. Guys, it's the moment we've been waiting for. Got everything prepped. It came with studs, so kind of screwed those in. And also installed the gaskets, and they're pretty good. They're not gonna fall out, so let's get to installing it. Alright guys, I got the intake bolted down, and I didn't read any instructions. I didn't think I would have to. Did notice the studs, they are a little longer on the other side, so I'm thinking this was supposed to go down and this is supposed to go up like I have it here, but some of them are all over the place. I have two that are on the correct side on this side, and then on this side I also only have two on the correct side, actually three. That's why I'm guessing it was really difficult to bolt it down. I actually had to start it with this one and slowly brought the intake down, but I couldn't get it all the way down without starting to bolt it with this one. Another thing is, I thought it might come with a bracket. It didn't come with a throttle bracket, so I'll have to purchase one. And then the throttle cable's a little too short. I can use this one and make it work. I just don't like it sitting over the top like that. So eventually I'll probably buy a longer throttle cable. Also, these lines that go to the other side of the throttle body, I have to extend. They're too short. And the charge pipe, I'll have to shorten it up too, but nothing too crazy. And yeah, it looks sick. It's exactly what I wanted. Another thing you'll notice in the videos, I took a really long time on one of these. I can't remember if it was on this side or this side, but the hole that was made was not aligned correctly. So I kind of just had to force it. Luckily it's aluminum, so I was able to just bolt it down, and it made its own threads. And it worked, so not too worried about that. With that being said, that's it for today. I'll catch you guys in the next video.